Imagination is the key to unlocking a door. Beyond it is the ninth dimension. A dimension of glue, a dimension of foam board, a dimension of plastic. You're moving into a world of baking powder and super sculpey, of pigment powder and dry brush. You've just crossed over into the scratch building zone.
Anybody remember Little Big Planet and this cute guy? It was released way back in 2008. It was a puzzle platformer. You did some kart racing, endless running, endless failing, endless running, and even more failing. You played as Sackboy and tried to get him through levels of torment. Fun. And then you get to that point in the game where you just turn it off, walk away from it, and never play it again. Now, I might not be showing much love for the actual game, but for the cute guy, I always liked him, and I always thought one day, yep, I'll probably try and make something of him, and that one day is now. So, I'm not just going to do one Sackboy, I'm going to do two Sackboys for you guys and girls. Two for the price of one. Normal Sackboy and a zombie Sackboy or Zombieboy, simply because I wanted to. It's my gift to you. And plus I thought the normal Sackboy looked pretty boring, so I needed to try and do a little twist on it. Hence, that's why I made Zombieboy. And as usual, the makings of this starts with tinfoil shaped into the shape of Sackboy. And once that's done, I poke the foil to within an inch of its foily life so we can glue some metal rods into them to look like we're professional and know what we're actually doing. While the glue dries, I'm testing out various things to see if I can get the right texture on the clay. Now, having buried my last burlap sack with my last build in it, I decided this Quick and Chips mesh will do the trick. Now, having just come back from my latest heist job, I decided to leave the gloves on, A, because it looked kind of sexy, and B, simply because I didn't want to get my fingertips and my greasy fingers all over the clay. So I'm just mashing it all onto the limbs now, and then I'll do the texturing with the Quick and Chips mesh. And after cutting the zip out of one of my favourite pair of jeans, just because it had the correct zip on it, I measured what I needed and cut it up. Now this part is totally new to me, and I didn't know if I should have put some sculpey adhesive on the zip first. Instead, I just threw caution to the wind, head first into the rain, and mashed more sculpey over it to make it stick that way. I actually did look through YouTube first to see if anybody had actually done this before, and could not find anything like this, so I'm hoping this is a first, and I can assure you I didn't set the house on fire, and it actually came out okay after the bake. And once everything was nicely compacted and the zip wasn't going to fall off the body, it was next on to texturing the torso with the chip mesh, and at this point I was feeling rather proud of myself. Now, the chip mesh wasn't the best thing I could have found, but it was the closest thing that I had on hand without me having to drive to the local Euro store to see if there was a burlap sack just sat on a shelf with a sign over it saying "Buy me." So for the first one, it was rough and ready, but like all of my builds, at least I'm learning something from it. Now with the head, I missed a trick here, because afterwards when it came out of the oven I thought if only I had some buttons. Unfortunately I didn't have buttons, and the rule applied: if it's not available on hand, then I'll just use what I have in the man shed. And in the end it was just a couple of balls of sculpey that I squished down to make the eyes. But if I was ever going to revisit this once I get better at this sculpting lag, I will probably get some buttons and a burlap sack to do it all over again. Then I'm just making little sausages that I'm sticking on the top of his forehead to make it look like it's stitching that's all the way around his head. After baking him for around about 30 minutes at, I think it was 130 degrees, it was time to assemble my monstrosity, and quietly tapped myself on the back as I hadn't failed with the zip. The zip had stuck nicely to the torso and hadn't burnt anything, so I was more than happy with that bit. For the Zombieboy, it was pretty much wash, rinse and repeat, except this time I left the zip open so I could put some ribs protruding out of his chest. I just made little wormy dealies that I just stuck in between the zipper and just then blended them in as best I could. For the rest of his torso, I made some cuts into it and then put some more wormy dealies over it, and just putting a little ball stylus, a little mark either side to look like the wound had been riveted together with sort of like a metal sort of staple. For Zombieboy's face, I left an eye in, left an eye off, enlarged the missing eye, and then riveted his mouth together with some more wormy dealies, and just gave him little various lacerations around his face, just so it looked like he was kind of like he'd been in the walls. Then it was time to paint both of the Sackboys, and it was just a quite simple, a couple of coats of a mocha acrylic paint, and they were ready for their close-ups. And as always, thank you for watching. If you like what you saw, please like, leave a comment, subscribe, it'll help the channel out. And until next time, Keep scratching that build, everybody.